What is up, CineNerds?
Hello, hello.
I'm JP Cross.
And I'm Ryan Newhouse.
And before we get started today, CineNerdsPodcast.com. Click the link. All of our previous episodes are there. You can click follow. All of our socials are there. There's links to all of our socials, our TikTok, our Facebook, our YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Go follow, share those, and share the videos. And you know what? Do me a favor. Go find one friend right now and say, hey, check this podcast out. That's all you got to do. Just go talk to one friend. Go introduce us.
Boring.
Go introduce us to one friend. That's it.
He said one. I'm saying all of them.
I'm just asking for one at a time. All right.
Well, I hope this episode of this wonderful CineNerds podcast finds you guys all having a lovely, lovely evening. And I hope you guys are ready to talk about some live action anime films.
And today I had him watch Fist of the North Star, the live action Fist of the North Star. And was this a first time watch?
Oh no.
Okay.
So this definitely was seen in the 90s when I saw it the first time. So it's been a long time since I watched it.
Okay, because I didn't think that you had actually seen this one.
Oh no, I saw, dude. I had the Game Boy Advance game of this and watched the anime in the 80s. So I was always a fan of Fist. This is one of the better animes, and there's a lot that I'm ready to talk about with this because this is a fun. I actually love the casting. I loved everything about the way they executed this.
Mm-hmm. And and this actually gets a lot of hate. This film got a lot of hate. Actually, I know a lot of people that fucking despise this film.
I mean, it's pretty bad, but it's amazing.
So, initial impressions. I'll go ahead and go first. So, I watched this. I believe it originally came on as like an HBO or a Showtime original, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't remember this going to the theater, and I remember it being ran as an exclusive for HBO or Showtime, or kind of like a lot of films that they did back in the day where they called them HBO originals or Showtime originals, but they wasn't. It's where they were buying them from other companies and airing them as originals, kind of like Prayer of the Roller Boys and films like that. But um, so I feel like I watched this on. I know I watched it like on HBO or Showtime when it first came out. And I just remember seeing the trailer for this like on whatever movie channel that was, and I was like, oh,
I think it was Cinemax.
it may have been Cinemax. It was one of those movie channels. But I remember seeing that trailer and I was just like, oh, I have to watch this. Oh, a Friday at 8 o'clock release or whatever it was. Yeah, I'm gonna sit at home and watch this. And so I watched it like on the like premiere of whatever movie channel it was on at the time. Just on the trailer alone. And I'll be honest with you, when I originally watched this, I knew nothing of the anime. Had never seen the anime. And so I watched this as a blind watch, never not knowing a thing about the anime or anything. So I actually saw this film first.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I found this right when I stumbled onto like Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, that type stuff. So that's kind of where I fell into that Fist of the North Star vibe. And then I think it was like 89, no, maybe 90, 91 that I got my Game Boy. It was somewhere in that realm. And one of the cheap games that I found, because they were so expensive back then, even especially for a kid trying to figure it out, Fist of the North Star. It was only like $20, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And it was a good fighting game, and I had so much fun playing this game. I just for hours would sit and play this game. But yeah, I love this franchise.
Alrighty. So, do you want to do the synopsis? You want me to do a quick synopsis?
Uh, oh, okay.
Well, what did you want to
I
do
thought I wanted
next?
to do impressions. I thought I wanted to do
Well, I
impressions.
thought that's what we were doing.
I just talked about how much I loved it. But
Oh,
yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. Go ahead. I don't want to do a second one again.
well, I just kind of did mine a minute ago, and I thought you just did too.
I guess I did. Go ahead. Go ahead with your synopsis.
Well, I was just seeing what was on here.
The The synopsis is that it's the almost exact same movie as another movie we reviewed recently.
It's very similar to Cyborg.
Yes.
Post-apocalyptic, based on the graphic novel. This apocalyptic adventure centers on a man who must reverse the cataclysmic conditions of the world. Basically, you've got the Fist of the North Star and you've got the Southern Cross. Um, and the Fist is Kenshiro, which is played by Gary Daniels. And what perfect casting was Gary Daniels, especially with his look of Kenshiro. Um, I, I I think this was the first film I actually saw Gary Daniels in, and I was didn't know anything about Fist, but later once I learned about more about Fist of the North Star, I went back and actually kind of looked at that visual of Gary Daniels, and I was like, man, that was just pretty fucking spot on. Um, but yeah, basically the Fist is, you know, he's trying to he ends up he's kind of a wandering soul at this point because Southern Cross takes over everything, and Kenshiro is just kind of a lone Ronin type character wandering the wasteland, and he finally decides, it's time for me to step up and bring the Fist of the North Star back and take control back and for the people. And that's kind of where this movie takes off from.
And he's thought, well, he's fighting his destiny.
Yeah.
So his father before him was the Fist, and when his dad died, which you don't really know how his dad dies till we come forward in the movie, but when his dad died, those powers passed on to Kenshiro. And his nemesis throughout this movie is Lord Shin. And Lord Shin, the actor who played him, you'll know his face if you see it, but his name is Costas Mandalore. How
Mm-hmm.
fucking cool is that last name, by the way? It's Mandylor. But still, just to have the name Mandalore as like your last name, that's
Yeah.
so badass.
And you
I'm
got
so
you got yeah, you guys will know Costas Mandalore from films like Mobsters. I loved him in Mobsters. It's such a great gangster movie. But most of you guys would know him from the Saw series.
yes, that's very true. And then I mean, this cast was, let's be honest, like
This
we talked about
cast,
Cyborg, but
yeah,
this cast is superb compared to Cyborg because
yeah, this
Malcolm and
this cast is ridiculous,
yes,
insane at
Malcolm
everybody they got.
McDowell is a character throughout this. The gentleman Dante Basco, Rufio himself is in this,
Hmm.
and that's awesome. It's one of his earlier roles, a younger kid, but it's
Downtown,
so good.
downtown
Yeah,
Julie Brown,
Clint Howard,
Clint
the
Howard,
ice cream man himself,
Melvin Van Peebles,
and Chris Penn.
Chris Penn.
Chris Penn out here looking like the first singer from Slipknot. Sorry,
Um,
Anders. Yeah, what he's wearing on his face is looks like Anders. Sorry, that was good
yeah,
stuff.
and one of my favorite wrestlers, Vader, was in.
That's right. I didn't recognize him till you just said that.
Yes,
That's kind of funny.
Vader has a small role in this. God, he's so awesome. Um, yeah, this cast is great, and I remember as a kid, like this was the first time I saw Gary Daniels in a film, but I knew who Costas Mandalore was because I had already seen Mobsters and some other stuff that he was in, and then obviously Downtown Julie Brown because I was watching MTV constantly. Chris Penn, Clint Howard, like Malcolm McDowell. Like I remember watching this even back as a kid and going, man, this is a great cast. Now as an adult, I'm like, man, this is a fantastic cast.
Gary Daniels loved this movie so much he named one of his sons Kenshiro.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I was like, wow. Like that's impressive. That's dedication.
And I'm going to say off the rip, my favorite thing about this film, Chris Penn.
Really?
Man, I fucking love Chris Penn in this film.
I
He
hate
was
him.
he was so, but you wanted to. He played the role right then. You wanted to hate him.
No, I don't like him as an actor, period. So, like, however he plays roles, but
What?
dude, he's one of those guys who you just wanna punch.
I like
Not
Chris
because of
Penn
his look.
better. I like Chris Penn better than his brother.
Sean did a good listen, one battle after another recently, I was actually impressed that Sean did alright in that. I was shocked. He impressed me.
No, I like Sean Penn. I really do, and that's not me dissing Sean Penn. I really like Chris Penn. I liked a lot of his films, and I
You
was
know
sad. I was sad when Chris died.
well, you know what's, funny is when you, or when I watched this movie and I saw Chris Penn first, at first, I for some reason, excuse excuse me, I mixed them up with the younger DeLuise brother. I thought he was one of the DeLuises in this. I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" Like, and then I look closer and I'm like, "That's a Penn."
Yeah,
So, yeah, I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah. He had such a great career. Like I loved him, and obviously Footloose. You know, like he. I don't know. Chris Penn did a lot of films that I liked. You know, but so did Sean. You know, they both have throughout the years. But I always had a soft spot for Chris.
No, for sure. I'm sorry, I'm yawning. It's been a day. Alright. Anyways, yeah, so the cast though was crazy to me because not seeing this since the '90s, in the '90s, I wasn't paying attention to this cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think about it as a kid. I was watching a movie and I this time watching around, I was like, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!" Every couple seconds, I was saying something new. But I like the way that this kind of flowed. So the formula for this movie versus Cyborg, as we mentioned, is pretty on point for the same thing. You've got a end of the world scenario, somebody trying to fix destiny, to fix humanity, to help humanity. A little bit of a revenge story in there too. And it comes to a head with a battle, and good guys win. Blah blah blah. Formulas, right? We always talk about formulas in movies and time periods. So this one though, whereas we said Cyborg had the path and the ability to become an anime easily, this one's based off an anime. So this one, literally everything that happens throughout it is something that you can imagine happening in anime. And I'm actually curious. I want to get my hands on the dubbed version of this for Japan because the dubbed version of this used the original actors from the anime to do the dub over the
Yeah,
voice. So I
yeah,
was like, that's pretty cool. So that was kind of fun.
yeah, and yeah. This is so similar, and I said it in the Cyborg episode when we did it, that it felt very anime to the point that I really feel like Albert Puyun took some influences from Fist of the North Star. I feel like he had to have seen Fist of the North Star, and and took some not ripped off. I don't feel like he ripped off, but just took some influences, as a lot of writers and directors do.
Um,
Um,
oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. No, the question I have for everyone, because I think we've had a few movies lately of people have kind of been like, I don't know this one, I haven't seen this one. I think we had Winner Takes All, which was a unique one for everyone. I think the Slinger version of Cyborg will be a unique one for people to kind of track down. And this is kind of in that same realm. So if you haven't seen this, I definitely recommend, of course, for anyone to go to YouTube. You'll probably find a copy of it on YouTube without a doubt. Is this on Tubi? Do you know? I,
No,
I
this is
no.
another one that you is not on digital other than YouTube. It is kind of like uh Winners Take All. It is available on DVD. I own this on DVD. You can find this on DVD. So there are ways to watch this, and I'm pretty sure the YouTube rip of this is from the DVD version because it looks
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
looks it looks good. So it's not like you're
But
watching some VHS transfer on YouTube. It's actually from the DVD. So you can watch it for free there.
well, the reason I bring it up is because I just wanted everyone to kind of have an opportunity. If you're a fan of anime and you haven't seen the Fist of the North Star series, I definitely recommend you jump in and check it out. It's not as bad as some of the reviews have made it. It's pretty solid, especially if you've seen the anime first. The and JP said he saw it the other way, so maybe you just want to see the movie first. I don't know, but if you look above my head, for those of you who can see the premiere in the video, this moment is his father coming back to him from the dead, and he's telling him, "You have to basically face your destiny." And like this movie, just the right there, those practical effects, they do a great service to this film. They're definitely what makes it a much more powerful film. And for those of you who are familiar with the Fist of the North Star series, there's a very unique, distinct pattern of scars on Kenshiro's chest, and it's from Lord Shin. Lord Shin has these crazy powers, and he takes his fingers and he sinks them into his chest, and he leaves him for dead. Blah blah blah. Takes his lady, the whole bit. And so the way that these things unfold, and as Kenshiro starts addressing and embracing his destiny, the powers that he starts manifesting become just superb and surreal, and you start seeing these kind of like decent approaches at live action anime happening. And I don't think I don't think live action really goes over anime goes over too well in
Mhm.
most instances, because a lot of people just don't want anything to do with it. It's like, why would we make live action of something that we love as this, and they're not going to make it better? Which I understand that take, but sometimes there's a version of a movie that you want to give that chance to. And to me, I think this one did a great service to it. Is it low budget? Yes. Is it kind of a hard watch if you're watching it and you've only seen newer movies and looking back? A little bit. But the story, the actors, the cast, just for what it is now that you know them and you're looking back, it's just all solid.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was going to talk about was the practical effects in this film. Dude, they're insane. Especially for such a low budget mid
Yep.
90s, early mid 90s film. The practical effects in this are fucking great. Just like the zombie character, which is Malcolm McDowell's character, and if you're watching the video and the image here, looks great. The the finger stabs with Kenshiro, happen to Kenshiro, is are fucking great with blood spewing out, and it looks like the fucking fingers are just in there. But even like Kenshiro's move, where he does the finger tap thing up and down your body, and all of a sudden your head starts expanding, filling up with blood, and people's heads explode.
What
Like,
was that? Sorry, go ahead.
all those practical effects are great, and even there's a scene where he kicks this thug, and like knocks his jaw out of place. Now, you can tell it's fake, but it still looks so. The practical effects in it were so good. Like,
They were superb. I loved it, and even the set design. So we talked about in Cyborg, how there was a lot of things that were reminiscent of other movies,
mhm.
Masters of the Universe, Spider-Man, particularly. We even mentioned some Mad Max. This one particularly has Mad Max items in it, and so I thought, and I was wrong. So this actually used set design from another movie I talked about. We talked about 80s sci-fi, or was it nostalgia or sci-fi? 80s sci-fi episode, I mentioned a movie in my honorable mentions called Space Hunters: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. So they took those things from that movie from '83 and they used it in this movie, and it worked beautifully. It was
Yeah,
it was it was
they took the motorcycles, for example,
yes.
from, and if you watched our cyborg episode, you saw me say, "Oh yeah, it was from," and I stopped and I said, "No, that's from another movie we're going to be well, this is the movie we're reviewing where I got them the movies actually mixed up with."
We got them mixed up because they're so similar. I mean, they really
Yeah.
are, to me at least. Now I'm doubling down on this. I don't care. That motorcycle, when they're in Beyond Thunderdome and they're riding around, I'm convinced it's from that too. But I digress.
You know what it could be, but I don't know.
All these studios share things all the time, so yeah, but it
Yeah.
looks identical.
Um but yeah, no, you're right. The practical effects, the set designs, um are just they're fucking great in this. And um now I will say this, like, for the most part, there's only like two or three, there's really only like three locations in this film. If you really think about it, you got kind of the little bit of the wasteland, you've got the village, and then you've got uh what's his name? Shin?
Mhm,
Yeah,
Lord Shin,
Shin,
yeah.
Lord Shin's kind of castle, a little bit of the city coming in. But so there's really only three locations. So there wasn't like a ton of locations they had to drop a lot of money into. So that what low budget they had, what money they had, they put into these locations that they did use, and you can tell.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna pause us right here in the movie. I need to ask you a very serious question. If you saw the Dragon Ball live action movie, what were your thoughts?
Evolution?
Yes.
Oh, I went to the theater and watched that piece of shit.
So I bring this up
Now,
because
now
go ahead.
I will say this. Now, the movie's awful. Dragon Ball Evolution's awful. Not even
He's
going
going
to
to
deny
find
it.
some semblance of something good in this, isn't he? Go ahead.
But I like that they tried to get the silliness of Goku and some of it. I actually dig the casting in the movie, but the movie was a piece of shit.
Well, the reason I brought that up personally is because I feel like for a live action anime film, from anime to screen, I think this movie is far superior to that movie. Even the power, like if they even would have
Oh,
taken notes out of the playbook of this movie for the practical effects and the way that they incorporated the special effects, all that stuff, like this movie just knocked it out of the park versus that piece of shit, like we were just saying.
yeah, yeah. No, this is way superior to that Dragon Ball Evolution film. And now Dragon Ball Evolution was a decade after this, at least. I
Yeah.
mean, this film, yeah. No, if Dragon Ball did anything like what they did with this film, I think it would have been a way better film. Now, this film gets a lot of hate. I know, like I said, I know a lot of people that hate this movie, and we look at YouTube, or not YouTube, but IMDb. IMDb, Fist of the North Star sits at a 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb. Like this movie we're talking about today is kind of universally hated by the anime community, and I know it's the anime community because they hate on all these live action anime adaptations. We've talked about that. We've talked about that in other episodes with the Attack on Titan, Death Note, um, Full Metal Alchemist. Like, there's been very few anime adaptations people have really raved about. I think the only one I can really think of off the top of my head right now is One Piece that people seem to like.
Well, you just ruined my recommendation. But anyways,
I ruined nothing.
no, it's I completely agree with you. So I Naruto was my one that I muscled through all the episodes of that. I got through it all because my son doubted me, and I was like, "No, motherfucker, I will," and I did. I'm going through Bleach right now. I think I've talked about this on our past anime episode. One Piece is that one that there's so many episodes and shoot offs that I'm not wasting that much time in my life. There's no way anymore. So, my son and I had a very deep talk, and he told me that the One Piece is you get more direct to the punch for this live action, and in my opinion, it's a superb series. I already season two just dropped, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's just really good.
Yeah, I've not finished season 2. I've started it, but season 1 is essentially like the first 50 episodes. So I
Yeah,
mean,
and if they keep going that route, it's perfect. Now I got to tune into the stupid shit.
yeah. Um. So Fist of the North Star, but yeah, this is universally hated, and but this is one that for '90s nostalgia. I saw this before I saw the anime, and I just gravitated. I enjoy this. I enjoy this as a '90s science fiction post apocalyptic film. You know, I think maybe if I've watched Fist of the North Star anime first, I might have a little bit of a different opinion. I don't know because there's a lot of these live action adaptations we've heard me talk. I enjoyed it, and a lot of them that people hate. So I still would probably enjoy this for what it is.
I saw it after the anime, so I think you're still good. I think you would have enjoyed it. But we also, and this that goes back to the whole thing of what we always say too. It's subjective. It's all about what you like and dislike. That's the beauty of these films that we all love. We go into them, we love them, and we get to enjoy them for what they are. And I have definitely learned over these last 2 years more than I ever have in my life to go into each movie with an open mind, not listen to the group and the public of their opinions, because more often than not, there's a movie that people absolutely hate, will review bomb, destroy, and then I end up loving it. So
Yeah.
I don't really care about other people's opinions. I want to see a movie for myself and just find out if I enjoy it or not, and then I'll talk shop about it.
So we'll get back into this movie a little bit. We've not really talked about. We talked about the practical effects and some of the
Well,
things
we
like that.
covered this movie when we talked about Cyborg.
We kind of did. um, but there's some scenes in here that are really cool,
For
like
sure.
the Shin's squad of mercenaries, we'll call them. They actually attacked this village where this little girl um, h- that Gary Daniels. God, I've already lost his name.
Lord Shin.
No,
No, oh,
Kenshiro.
Kenshiro.
Yeah, Kenshiro. Brain fart because I kept wanting to call him Shin. Kenshiro. Uh, he actually heals. She's blind, and he heals her eyes, and she goes back, and they're attacking the village, and so they actually go to behead this little girl. Now this little girl's like what 10, um, and she's yelling like Kenshiro will stop you, and they stop the guillotine from cutting her head off, and they take her, and the brother Rufio, from Hook, actually goes find Kenshiro, and he shows back up to save the girl. There's a scene in here though before Kenshiro gets there I want to talk about, and I actually wrote this in my notes. Is why I wanted to get to it. It's a Clint Howard scene, and so this village has like a supply of clean water, which is scarce, and this old man or this old woman is trying to get water, and they're stopping the villagers once they take control of this town village, um, from getting any of that water. And this old woman's like, "Well, I need water. I'll die." And Clint Howard literally looks at this old woman and says, "Then you'll die." And I don't know why I laughed so hard at Clint Howard in this scene, but it was so amazing.
A, it's Clint Howard, and B, you love weird shit, so that makes sense. That all chalks. It's all good.
Then you'll die.
And it's his character too for what he does. Like he just has that voice inflection. I can hear it the way you're saying it. I can hear him doing it. Yeah.
Oh, the ice
So,
cream man.
so do you know? I have to bring this up. I just have to. Do you know what Gary Daniels' first role was?
I don't know.
And I actually, I am going to admit that I saw this, but only because my dad was watching Miami Vice. He was a stripper in an episode of Miami Vice, a male stripper in the
See,
Miami
that's
Vice.
that's funny because I don't remember that, and I haven't looked at his IMDb, but I always knew Gary Daniels as a
Martial
kung
artist.
fu, yeah,
Yeah.
martial art, does all these martial arts movies, and then obviously later in years he did the Expendables. He was brought in for one of the Expendable movies. I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But there's a tie in here. This is like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon bullshit, right? Because we were talking about Cyborg. So Gary Daniels was in the first Expendables. John Claude Van Damme was in the third Expendables. John Claude Van Damme, we talked about how he injures people on set. He hurt Liam Hemsworth in Expendables 3. He hurt another person on there, and I just thought about it. He said Expendables. Sorry. Had to bring that up.
It's the same movie.
Same movie.
Same movie.
Fist of the Cyborg.
Um, but yeah, when Kenshiro actually gets to the village, and that is where he fights Vader. And man, I love this scene because I'm such a fan of the wrestler Vader. And he gets in here and he finds the girl. She's in a cage. He's getting her out. Vader's character comes in, and now Gary Daniels, and I think I put a note of this. Yeah, I did. So Gary Daniels is not a small guy. I mean, this guy is in shape. He is fit, and he is not a small guy. But god damn, when the fight between him and Vader, I literally put in my notes here. Gary Daniels is tiny and compared to Vader.
Uh, listen, Gary Daniels is my height, motherfucker. So he is not tiny. Okay.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Gary Daniels is not a small guy, but him compared to Vader in that fight, he was
Yeah.
tiny. Vader is massive. And that just shows how big that guy really is or was.
Yeah. Or was. Yeah. No, I didn't know that, and cause I just looked because you just said that I was like, wait, how tall is he? And I looked up, he's 5'11", so that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And Vader towered over him, and like Vader looked like he outweighed him by 200 pounds.
I mean,
He
that's,
probably did.
he probably did. Yeah, he's a big boy, big boy. Um, while I'm doing my dolphining and going bouncing topics, and I'll let you get back to the movie after this. But if you guys don't follow Rufio Dante Bosco on TikTok, go do it because he does one of the coolest things I've seen any actor do. He will put his stack of his royalty checks on the TV, like on the video, and he'll pull out a random one. He'll pick a random royalty check from some show. I think the last one I saw was hanging with Mr. Cooper because I didn't even know he was on that show. But he still gets royalties from doing all these things, and some of them can be for 50 cents. Some of the royalties can be for like a couple thousand or something. But he always gets these royalties from everything he's been in, and that he's like, you know the drill. We're either eating ramen or we're going out and getting steaks. And he, depending on what he opens, is what they do, and it's just funny. So check that out. Sorry, I saw Rufio in this, and I yelled out loud when I first saw him come on the screen. Bangarang! That's just amazing.
So yeah, I don't follow him, so I may have to look him up.
Just the royalty check angle because he's somebody who was a child star and he's done stuff with his career, but I mean, he lives on his royalty checks. He lives modestly, but just seeing how that angle works for actors is interesting.
So after the village, this movie moves quick. I mean, it's basically Michael McDowell's character is killed by Shin, and he actually says the line, "This isn't a fight. This is an execution." Then it moves on to the wasteland. It gives some flashback scenes to how Shin and Kenshiro actually what happened between them. Then you get to the village, which we talked to. Then all of a sudden, you're at Gary Daniels showing up at the doorstep of Shin, of Lord Shin, and uh, his Kenshiro's girlfriend that Shin actually takes earlier in the flashback. Um, Chris Penn's character is actually holding her hostage in this like boiler room area or whatever it is, and while Lord Shin and Kenshiro are having their final fight. Well, there's another final fight going on between the love interest and Chris Penn's character, all at the same time. And both of these fight sequences are fucking cool, man. I mean, it's typical '90s fashion martial arts film, and it's a fun. It's everything that happens through all this is really fun.
You skipped when Rufio dies. Bangarang.
Yeah,
It's the same way. It's so funny too because that was something similar. Like if you, for those of you who've seen Hook, when he dies, he like does this dramatic. He's laying in someone's arms thing, and it's kind of the same vibe. So it was interesting. But
yeah.
no, that fight
He saves his sister and he dies just like Rufio did in Hook, and yeah.
But no, this fight sequence is spectacular. I loved it. I think that Kenshiro and Lord Shin's battle is epic. I think it's great inside of the anime as well. But I do think they did a decent service here to the anime. And I know everyone's gonna give me shit. Everyone that are true anime people are gonna have their gripes and whatever. But to me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. Uh, very similar formula, like I said, to Cyborg, but I'll get over it. And this movie, for what it is, delivered. Uh, the live action anime stuff, like I think people need to give it more of a chance if it's done right. And this was a good example for something done in what 95.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that fight scene, it's a good fight scene between Gary Daniels and Castle of Mandalore. And the thing is, I don't know if Castle of Mandalore actually having a martial arts background. I don't think he does because he didn't do martial arts movies. He was an actor, and he pulled this off. But I'm sure Gary Daniels sold him on a lot of these moves and stuff because Gary Daniels was.
Well, I mean, that's what acting is, right? So like, I think this was right around the era where you saw a lot of people doing what's it called when like Jim Carrey's king of this, where you get so immersed into a character in a role that you become that person.
Hmm.
What's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, I think that that's what acting is, though, and I think that Costas Mandalore, if he's got the right person around him teaching him to how to throw those punches, how to roll with the punches, how to move, and they started. This is the era where they started showing and training people to do these things correctly. I feel, and it was a
Yeah.
it was an investment not just in the film's success, but an investment in the characters being believable, and they did it well.
Well, this is the era when, and then once the early '90s and mid '90s hit, this was the era when Hollywood was looking at actors for action films, not stuntmen,
You know why?
because they can act.
Because Bruce Willis, motherfucker.
So this is a time period when they wasn't looking at Stallones or Arnold's or
Mhm.
or Dolph Lundgren's. They were looking at Keanu Reeves, making
They were
him the
looking at
next action. They were looking at guys like Bruce Willis and guys that had acting chops but could pull off some of these action films, and it worked on a lot. It worked for it. It changed. It changed the action film genre, and this is, I think, kind of what was happening with Castle of Mandalore at this time too.
I think Bruce Willis kind of, opened up the door for some of us dad bod, daddy beard guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he opened the door, and then Keanu Reeves kicked it in. Because you had Keanu Reeves that had played Bill and Ted, this bumbling idiot, and all of a sudden he's the biggest action star of the decade once he did Point Break and Speed.
Have we ever reviewed Matrix?
Nope, we have not.
Wow, that's weird to think about. Maybe that needs to happen in the future because that's a fucking solid one to break down.
I don't think have we even covered a Keanu Reeves movie.
I don't I don't think so.
I don't think we have.
He's got so many good. I think there was one that I talked about recently that I just saw that because you couldn't stand it and I did. I liked it. It was what's the recent one? The Good Fortune.
Good Fortune. I mean, it was
Yeah, yeah.
okay. I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was funny as people were making it out to be.
Yeah, so Keanu Reeves is definitely one of those niche characters. Like he's the same actor if he's not doing action. Like so it's
Yeah.
I mean his acting skills are limited, but his fight skills and his personality carry him. But yeah, no, I this movie start to finish was full of lots of intensity, lots of fun. It fit the dynamic for me. I think I have a pattern here. I'm developing a pattern. I have I'll talk about the trauma past before we go into this. When I was 6 years old and I had a girlfriend in kindergarten, and she called the house, and my dad was so like, "Wait a minute, you're a kindergartner and you have a girlfriend?" And my dad had a few beers and a few dad sodas, and he looked at me and no shit as a 6-year-old, and he goes, "Why are you bothering? You're just gonna be dead in 10 years." I was like, "What?" And he had a Nostradamus book about predictions of 1993 and World War III. At that time, it was supposed to happen in 93. And he's like, "Yeah, the end of the world's coming, and it's pointless," because he had a few dad sodas. And I was just like, so I became obsessed with learning about Nostradamus at 6. And I don't know why, obviously 93 came and went, but that kind of pulled me into this whole field. So Mad Max movies became par for the course for me. Even the Hellraiser films kind of in a weird way to me were like that they kind of took you to that end of the world scenario because it was hell. And then you got into like Waterworld and things like that, which I love and most people
I
hate.
love
Oh,
Waterworld.
thank you.
Yes, no,
Uh,
that thing is that movie. We'll get back to Fist for a second, but hey, thing about Waterworld is like it was a huge box office bomb, and
oh,
everybody hated it. And I remember watching this. I was like, "Why is everybody hating this movie? This movie's good." And then I've watched it in recent years again, and I'm like, "This movie's fantastic."
I know I've told this story to JP before, but I'm going to tell you guys this story again because it's one of my favorite first. It was the first time I was starstruck, and I didn't know what to say. I was a 15-year-old cook at a restaurant, and I was making burgers at this little place called Herb's Tavern in Rocky River. And when Kevin Costner comes in town, he goes to this place. He knows the owner. He goes there religiously. I didn't know a thing about this. All I know is I'm cooking on the grill, and my boss comes back, and his name was Ken, and he goes, "Hey, I got somebody out of the bar who wants to talk to you about the burger you made him." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I fucked up. I'm gonna get yelled at. Some customer's not happy. He's making me face it." I go out there. They have the whole bar blocked off, so only he's sitting at the bar, and it's Kevin Costner. And he goes, "Hey, I just want to tell you this burger was amazing. You did a great job. This burger tastes just great. Thank you." And he's so kind about it. My first words to Kevin Costner while I have a one-on-one like personal conversation with him were, "I loved Waterworld." And he looked at me, smiled ear to ear, and he goes, "I'm glad someone did." So while he might have loved it doing it himself, he was very honest about it. And I was sincere when I said that. I wasn't like bullshitting him. Like, yeah, it was such a that and the postman were both kind of rad.
I
Yeah,
like the Postman too. Yeah, no, it's
because they're post apocalyptic. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, we're sick people. I know.
So, I want to say because you mentioned it a second ago, you actually said Hellraiser. Did you look at the director of this, Tony Randall?
No. I know
So,
who that director is. Did he direct one of the Hellraisers?
so Tony Randall has directed a couple of really fine gems. Now, he has moved on after Fist of the North Star pretty much to television and not really directing anything. However, before he did Fist of the North Star, he did this gem, Ticks, which I love the film, the horror film Ticks, that stars Seth Green, and there's a bunch of recognizable
I
faces
don't
in it.
think I know that one.
Yeah, Ticks is amazing. Yeah, so Ticks is a great film. So go even further back, he did Children of the Night, which is a fun horror film.
He
Then you
directed
go
my
then you
favorite
go
one of all
back, he
time.
directed your favorite Hellraiser film, Hellraiser 2.
I did not know he was the director. I thought it was okay.
Yep. He did your favorite Hellraiser.
And
And
Escape from New York?
and I think he did some writing or something on that, didn't he?
Oh, no.
Or no, he might have done some special
Visual
effects.
effects.
Yeah.
Visual effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um so
Wow.
yeah, and even the writer for Fist of the North Star, the screenplay writer, worked on Hellraiser 2.
So you know what's funny is so now that you're saying that some of the imagery, like when the fog comes out of nowhere and it's gray, it's almost like when the Cenobites enter the room.
Mhm.
So I can completely see this, and I can completely understand why that mummy looks the way that it does too. Like the practical effects had purpose here. So like
Mhm.
I kind of like this now that this comes together a lot more.
Yeah.
You may have just impacted my review.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at the end of this movie anyway, and we've been just talking about things about this movie more than the actual plot and things about this movie. But Kenshiro, he ends up killing Lord Shin. He the love interest, she actually drops a seed. He sees a plant growing, so there is life coming back. He finds out she's alive. She actually kills Chris Penn's character. His little mask gets tied up in this gear, rips his mask off, and his head explodes where it was being held together from years of ago when Kenshiro actually does his little finger tap thing to make his head explode. So the end, they live. They go to
Yeah.
revitalize. They go to revitalize the earth. Basically the end. Um. So yeah, did you look at the budget?
Well, this is your choice, JP. So I wouldn't have done that.
Well, you know what? You you tend to do that some. So you want to make a guess?
Okay, let's go. Um, hmm. 1995, a lot of practical effects. We had a very low budget, but for Cyborg at 500,000. So for this one, I'm gonna go. This one had.
Now, mind you, Cyborg also did not include a lot of those set designs. Those set designs were under Masters of the Universe sets and
Oh,
stuff. So they cut.
I'm just weighing stuff in. I'm just weighing stuff in here.
Well,
Uh, 95. I'm gonna go 750,000.
Way off.
Under or over?
You're way under.
Way under. Okay, then I'll reevaluate. Let's go 5 mil.
You're closer. It was 7 million.
Okay,
So it,
because
it actually it actually it was a low budget, but it was still a pretty high budget for a
so what
low
threw me
budget
off
film.
though is because there's still some amazing set design in Cyborg. So this one isn't too far off. It's a little more with the practical effects though, but the cast too is bigger.
Yeah, I would bet though that Cyborg's actual budget, if you took the Master Universe budget that was already spent and the Spider-Man budget that was already spent, and combine that with the Cyborg budget, I bet you Cyborg is probably 5 or 6 million.
These are that little way you just assess that is how Rick would assess it too. So I bet Rick will sound off in the comments here on that.
So yeah, I that because that those budgets weren't included. He took those sets and spent 500,000 on Cyborg, but there was other money spent on those sets that wasn't included in that budget. So I bet you Cyborg overall was a bit higher, substantially higher. Um, so yeah, but there's no theatrical numbers for this because this was not a theatrical release. Like I said, I remember watching this as a world premiere on Cinemax, HBO, or whatever it was on.
Yeah, that's
So
weird.
so yeah, no box office.
Weird. All right. Well, it's your choice. So should I give my review?
Go ahead.
All right. All right. So I'm going to start off with the core of this movie being all based from the Fist of North Star anime. I love the anime. I loved playing the video game on my Game Boy Advance all the time. So when this movie came out, I was definitely intrigued. I ran right to because JP saw it in Cinemax. I got it from it was I don't think it was Giant. It might have been Rini Rigo at the time. They had a video rental section, and I rented the VHS of this. And I enjoyed the hell out of it just because of knowing the backstory, knowing the characters. Uh, Same thing that I thought back then. I thought now I do think anime has a tendency to make the characters more like bulky and shoulder driven. Whereas this for live action, I actually felt that Gary Daniels embodied Kenshiro in a real approach. So I wasn't put off by his behind JP. But I mean ultimately like while he's 5'11, he's still a small shouldered dude. He's not like this big giant buff shouldered guy for like an anime that you would typically see. So I enjoyed that and I appreciated all the castings because the castings were none of them were over the top crazy except for some characters that are extras here and there, but for the main characters, pretty standard. Story moves along nicely and fast paced, as JP pointed out. Practical effects are spectacular. The soundtrack, I do like the music to this as well, especially the actual soundtrack has "A Thousand Lies" by
I was
Machine
gonna say
Head.
there's a Machine Head song on here.
Yeah, so there's and Rob Flynn did a couple other little aspects to the soundtrack. I guess he had some kind of some input or something to that effect. But I do genuinely enjoy this movie start to finish. I didn't think anything wrong in this movie. I think this movie is solid. And to all the haters who hate all the live action movies that were anime first, you guys you're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. Relax. Just try and enjoy something for what it is. So this one for me, I'm gonna sit at 3.5 nerds all day. There we go.
Okay. So again, I have a fondness of this film. And I picked this film, and I have a fondness for this film mainly because I watched this again. I watched this before I ever watched the anime, before I even knew what the anime was really. And so I watched this as a '90s martial arts post-apocalyptic science fiction film, and I still watch this film as that, and I have fondness for it as that, as a '90s post-apocalyptic sci-fi film, which I love. I love that genre. So I have a fondness and a love for this film for that. I love martial arts films. I love post-apocalyptic science fiction films. So yeah, I love the cast. We've talked about the cast. This cast is incredible. Um, the music, yeah, and I actually had in my notes Machine Head. The music's great. The vibe of this film, the practical effects. Um, Now, is this film good by today's standards? Probably not. But I watched this with just as much fondness, and I actually prefer this film to a lot of newer films that I do watch because it has quick pacing, it has cool effects, and it's a fun little story and great fight scenes. And what more can you ask? Yeah. Um, I'm gonna give this one a pretty solid review, and all you anime haters out there that hate this because it's not the anime. Well, it doesn't have to be the anime to be a fun fucking movie. Again, quick pacing, great special effects, great martial arts. I'm going to give this a 3.9.
Ooh, so that's funny. I find this interesting because you went a little bit higher than you did with Slinger and Cyborg, and I went a little bit lower. So that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. We're close overall.
So I think the difference is here, and I'll explain myself real quick. So I went a little lower on the Slinger Cyborg, mainly because I feel like if there's a better movie in there, if you between the two cuts,
Yeah, yeah.
if you, and you know, so that's why I went a little lower because I feel like between the both cuts there is a better, and even I even said it, there is a more perfect post-apocalyptic martial arts film in there if it could be done, if it could ever happen and been edited and whatnot. There could be this epic masterpiece. So, Fist of the North Star, we don't have these two comparisons. I only have this comparison. And I think the pacing, I think the fight sequences, and some of this actually flows better in Fist of the North Star than it does Cyborg. But I can admit that Cyborg is probably the better film, but
Hmm,
I give it a little bit of a lower rating because I know there is a better film in there because I've seen two different cuts of it now.
totally fair.
All right. Recommendations?
Yeah. So, and I mentioned this before, but season 2 of One Piece. That was my recommendation because it's live action and it's doing it right. I feel like people need to step outside of their comfort zones and learn to relax and let life just kind of happen. When it comes to movies and music, when people want to review bomb and do all this weird shit and they're doing too much, sometimes you just need to understand that we're the backseat driver. We don't we You can yell all you want, but the direction's still being chosen. So at the end of the day, like to me, I just need to sit back, relax in my seat, and enjoy the ride. And in some of these movies and some of these shows, we don't. There's no reason to beat up on them the way that we do. So for live action anime, I'm going One Piece season 2 all day.
Okay. So I'm going to go a different route. I actually thought about doing an anime, but I skipped this. I was going to do this recommendation on our last recording that we did, which was aired sometime substantially before this episode. But I recently, a couple months ago, I bought this on sale on Fandango for $5, and I had only ever seen this film one time. And now the one time I saw it at the drive-in, and I was really liked it. So I was excited to pick it up for $5 to give it a second watch, and I finally watched it this past week. And it is a Luc Besson film. We just reviewed him with the new Dracula film, Dracula: A Love Tale, X amount of months ago, and we've reviewed Fifth Element. He did the Fifth Element, um, but his film Valerian. Did you ever see this one?
I know what you're talking about actually. So I saw a movie recently, or I saw a TikTok recently. It was a reel of the mom telling the kid that he's not her son. Right? Is this
Mm,
the one with the Jesse dude and they're in the imaginary area?
no,
No, I'm thinking of a different one.
no. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is actually in the same
Oh, that's
universe as
I
the Fifth Element. Yeah, it's in the same universe as the Fifth
I
Element.
remember what you're talking about. Yes, I have seen that. I thought you were talking about Vivarium. Sorry.
No, no.
Is that the
This is he did this in the same universe as the Fifth Element, and uh I rewatched this over the weekend, and man, I really like this fucking movie, and I wish we could have got more sequels to this in the Fifth Element universe, and I actually think I prefer this well over Fifth Element. You know, we reviewed the Fifth Element at one point, and I didn't review it very well. I didn't think it aged very well. This film, I just rewatched it this weekend. This is only the second time I've ever seen it, and I was just like, wow, I really like this fucking film. This is a fun film.
That's another one of those ones. This works perfectly with what I was just saying, though. People like to review bomb and just be difficult, and people ate that movie apart. They like tore that movie apart, and that movie's a solid movie. I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, yeah, and like I just said, I mean, people think of the Fifth Element so fondly, and I didn't. I just didn't think that it aged well, you know. But this film, now it's a newer film, you know,
Fifth
but
Element's near perfect. I disagree.
well, we reviewed it, and you know, you heard my opinion, but this film I just think is a fun science fiction film, and I think it would have been great to have got more in this universe. And the Fifth Element universe, which is this is in, and I don't have a problem with the universe. I think the universe that he was building with the Fifth Element was fantastic. Alrighty, you got anything else?
No, sir.
All right, don't forget CineNerdsPodcast.com, and do remember what I said at the beginning of this episode. Remember, go find one friend. That's all I'm asking. You guys go find one friend. Tell them about this podcast. Have them follow this podcast right in front of you. Have
Except
them go.
Jeremy. Except Jeremy. We know you don't have any.
Well, no, he's just going to message me because I'm his only friend. Um, but
He's
yeah,
he's gonna be like, "Fuck you guys."
but yeah, go find one friend. That's all I'm asking, and then ask them to go tell one friend, and then so on. Let it domino effect. All right. Till next time, guys.
Later.
Later.